Hello, it's Richard here from Intelligent Advisor IT Consulting with our overview video of what's new in release 22C. There are a number of interesting features that have crept into this first release for the second half of 22. Let's start with the Oracle Policy Modeling focused change, which is in respect of value lists and visibility. So this is a demonstration project using the 22C first release. It has been connected to an external application, and as a result I have a whole bunch of value lists. It's just easier for me to do it that way. And you can see here that I have a value list in use called incident product, and that has been associated with an attribute called the incident product. So no great surprises there. So what's new? If I go into the interview and let's create a new screen, and I'm going to add a control for that attribute. So far nothing's changed, but when I go to the values option in the ribbon in the interview tab, you'll notice now that I have default visibility. So I can then apply the default visibility to any or all of the values in the value list. So I could set this to any of the two standard or any Boolean that I happen to have in my project. So I could say, well, this is false, and all of these will use this visibility, but I can of course then change each of them individually to take advantage of the standard options or indeed any other Boolean that I should choose to do so. So this is going to be very useful if you need to switch off lots of things in a long list, or switch them on for that matter, using this new default visibility option. The second thing that we're going to talk about in this 22C deep dive is actually more concerned with the Intelligent Advisor Hub. So let's head over to the Hub. There are a couple of things I want to talk about. The first one is in respect of permissions for API clients. I have an API client down here called RN-API user, that's me, that we can use to demonstrate that now in the API client administration page, you have the viewer role. So this was previously only available to human users. Now it's available to API client users. So you can juxtapose viewer and author. And these are also accessible programmatically if you use the REST API to create API clients or to change their roles. And as usual, you can set it per workspace. So while we're talking about users and API clients, the next new feature is in respect of deployments and snapshots, as we used to call them. If I have a project such as this one, this is an Oracle Policy Modeling traditional project. As you can see, it comes with an interview. It's currently enabled only for interviews, and it has a dramatically interesting version history. Now, previously, if you used the REST API, you could download projects, but only if they were decision services, because decision services, of course, use a JSON format for their project import and export and download. You couldn't download a version of a deployed project programmatically. If I go to my Postman, my handy API tester, and you'll notice that I'm using the most up-to-date version of the API, the REST API, and I have specified that I want this particular project deployment, and I want the active version, and I want to acquire the snapshot. Of course, I've set up authorization. Using my API client, I'll get myself a token, and now I will make that request. And the response is a positive one, and as you can see, I have a very large base 64 string. So when I grab this base 64 string, obviously this is not something you would do in real life, but it's just to prove a point. If I copy that and head over to one of the many tools online, I could download this file. It'll give it a very generic name. I'll show it in the folder. And why don't I change the name to my project snapshot.zip. And when I open the zip file, you can see that it is indeed the deployed snapshot of my project that I have acquired. So the new feature is the ability to programmatically download the zip files, which enables us to imagine all sorts of exciting CI/CD related improvements. So returning to Oracle Policy Modeling for a moment, the final thing I want to show you is that in this project I have a reference to a decision service, as you can see, and the reference to this decision service is to a deployed decision service. And as you can see, I just inherit one value. It's not really very important. But obviously, if this decision service was to be removed, this project, this Oracle Policy Modeling project, if it happens, as it happens, may no longer work. So I've deployed both the decision service and the Oracle Policy Modeling project. So they're both on the hub. If I now go to the list of deployments and I scroll down and I find my decision service and I click the delete deployment option, you will see a message, which is not new. And the decision service has been deleted. According to the documentation, if you are attempting to delete a decision service deployment that is referenced from an Oracle Policy Modeling project, you will be warned that the deployment will no longer have access to the decision service and may fail. So obviously I'm using a version that doesn't yet have that implemented because the message doesn't appear. But if it does in a later version of 22C, I will be very, very happy because it is all too easy to delete a decision service. And now, of course, back in my Oracle Policy Modeling project, my service, of course, no longer exists in a deployed form, so I get the error message, and obviously this new feature is designed to avoid things like this. That just about wraps it up for our short dive into 22C. If you spot anything else, or if you see that the documentation has been updated, don't hesitate to reach out in the comments. If you liked the video, of course, like everybody else on YouTube, we'd like you to like it. And why don't you subscribe if you enjoy Oracle Intelligent Advisor?